So I'm a big believer in the power of redemption. It's an age-old concept that transcends religions, but is fundamentally about an understanding that everybody makes mistakes. And for some, that might rise to the level of being a crime. But is it not the sign of a civil society that we allow people a way to earn their way back and give them the support and the resources they need to do that? And so that's why we have convened today, to talk about the power of individuals when supported by a community, by society, the power that they have to do extraordinary things that benefit all kinds of people in terms of where they live and the people they meet, their family members and others. So again, I welcome the four of you for being here. And I'll tell you, I have worked on this issue my entire career, and I know it works. I know that it works to give people second chances. Back when I was elected DA of San Francisco, I was elected in 2003, started in 2004, and I created one of the first reentry initiatives in the country. In fact, back then, the United States Department of Justice designated my program, Back on Track, as being a model of innovation for law enforcement in the United States. And I designed it focused on first-time drug sales offenders, and most of them were in their 20s, and getting them into an initiative that was about job training. The building trades and the unions were very helpful and a great partner around apprenticeship programs, parenting classes, helping folks with housing, all the things that any person needs to actually be productive. And we proved that it worked. It was one of the first in the country. We reduced recidivism by 80% with that program in San Francisco. Then when I became Attorney General of California, running the California Department of Justice, I created the first division on recidivism reduction and reentry, highlighting how state attorneys general, but states as a whole, and law enforcement in particular, can and should be dedicated to this concept of what we can do around reentry and reduction of recidivism. For a number of reasons. Yes, it is about redemption, but also it's about public safety, right? Reduction of recidivism is about reducing crime and doing it in a productive way, which realizes that sometimes we really ought to think more about what's the return on our investment. And we actually get a lot more out of our investment if we invest in the capacity of people instead of reacting after they've done things that might warrant a prosecution. And then, of course, now as Vice President, we have continued this work. Our President, Joe Biden, has a long-standing commitment to the issue of reduction of recidivism. And while we have been here then at the White House, we've done a number of things that have been about allowing people second chances through understanding the obstacles that also still exist within society that prevent people from taking advantage of a second chance. For example, there have been long-standing restrictions on access to opportunities such as small business loans. So recently we announced that we are changing the way that we think about who is eligible for small business loans, and have for the first time said that folks with a criminal conviction can qualify for small business loans. Understand that we issue about $40 billion in small business loans every year. The average is about $500,000. So making this now available, and these are small business leaders, by the way, making this available, reducing and eliminating that restriction is going to mean a lot in terms of second chances and the opportunity for people to excel. We have expanded Pell Grants for people who are currently incarcerated, understanding that there are a lot of folks who are inside who do, while they are there, want to enhance their education so that when they come out, they can get a job that allows them a quality of life and living that can allow them to take care of themselves and their families. We have now expanded Pell Grants for the people who are currently incarcerated, and we have invested nearly $1 billion to include cities and local governments and nonprofits in money for job training, for increased job training and addiction recovery and reentry support. And I will say this, many Americans who have served their time still face obstacles to their success. And one way for us to remove some of those other obstacles is by issuing pardons and commutations. And so that is the subject of our conversation today. We have issued as an administration with President Biden's leadership more pardons and commutations than any recent administration at this point in their term. For example, on marijuana, we have pardoned all people for federal convictions for simple marijuana possession. Many of you have heard me say, I just don't think people should have to go to jail for smoking weed. And these pardons have been issued as an extension of that approach. We have also addressed unjust sentencing to the extent that we have issued pardons and commutations to address historic disparities in sentencing. One of the examples that is well known was the disparity, long-standing disparity in sentencing of crack versus powder cocaine. It was 100-to-1 disparity, and we have been dealing with that. In furtherance of this work, yesterday the President issued a new round of pardons, and today we are then here to honor some of the recipients of those pardons. And I will close my comments as I turn it over to Kim by saying that, again, I think we know that we can be smarter with how we seek to, one, achieve public safety, but also be smarter in terms of how we invest in the people of our country, especially when we do receive and understand the importance of a concept like redemption. And so again, I thank everybody for being here today, and I will now turn it over to Kim Kardashian, who's been a wonderful advocate on this and so many other issues.
Thank you. I just wanted to start off by thanking you, Madam Vice President, for hosting this event today and just for your deep commitment to second chances.
Thank you.
Also, I wanted to thank President Biden for all of the commutations and the pardons that are happening. It was actually this very room that I was in years ago, my first clemency meeting, that really inspired me to take a journey of really helping to figure out how I can be helpful and how I can tell the amazing stories that I would hear from the success stories from individuals like yourself. And I didn't know a whole lot, and I was inspired to go to law school and really further my education to see what I can do to help and not rely on these two women behind me who would come with me everywhere, my attorneys, to kind of translate everything for me, because I really couldn't grasp what all of this means. And I know you guys live this, that this has been your life, so I'm sure you understand the system and the paperwork and everything so much better than so many people. And I am super honored to be here to hear your stories today. And I think it's so important to share them and amplify them, because there's so many people that are in your position that can use the inspiration. And I'm so honored to be here to continue this fight and to learn more every day, every visit, every administration. I'm just here to help and to spread the word. So I'm so excited to be here and hear your stories. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. I'm now going to turn it over to Stephen Benjamin. For the press that is in the room, normally we would invite you to depart, but I invite you to stay for this conversation for those who are interested. And so I'm now going to turn it over to Steve Benjamin, who is the assistant to the president and the director of our public engagement.
Was that a request from the press? Is that because Eugene's here? He's just changing things, making his...
There are no favorites.
Vice President, thank you so much. I'm Steve Benjamin. I serve as one of the senior advisors to the President and Director of the Office of Public Engagement here. In my prior life, I served as a mayor of Columbia, South Carolina. Before that, I served as director of the State Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardons in South Carolina, which is a wonderful, informative experience for me. Realizing we all may have different faith traditions, but I serve a God of second chances. And realizing the importance of understanding, quite frankly, that everyone in this room has had second and third chances. and many people have been consigned to life for decisions indeed made even before we finish puberty. And having these amazing opportunities led by the President, the Vice President, amplified, Ms. Kardashian, by your work, this is just an exciting opportunity. And I changed my schedule because I just wanted to be here and participate in this with each and every one of you heroes and leaders today. And I amplify the Vice President's work. Your stories will touch so many people you'll never have the privilege of meeting, but it will inspire them to take that next step. Would you mind just going around briefly and introducing yourself and telling people where you're from? And if it's in the spirit, go ahead and say what got you off track the first time around, because I'm going to come back around and tell the whole story about amazing things you're doing on the other side. Let's start with you, Jason.
My name is Jason Hernandez. I'm from McKinney, Texas. And what got me off track?
Yeah, sure. Tell your story.
Well, I think, growing up as a Hispanic kid, that in my neighborhood there wasn't many resources, and I just kind of gravitated to what was there in my community. And in my community there were drug dealers and gang members, and I thought that that was what I was supposed to be when I got older. And I was a low-income kid as well, and we didn't have money, and I thought my way out of the hood, out of the ghetto, was by selling drugs, and that's what I wanted to do to help my mom, my father, so my father wouldn't have to be a construction worker no more. My mom wouldn't have to clean houses no more.
You're 16 years old. You're very young.
Yeah, I started when I was 15 years old in 1992, selling marijuana on the street corner.
My name is Bobby Laurie. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, and what got me off track was just seeing the older guys buy cars, buy gym shoes, and live a lavish lifestyle. So I thought that was what I was supposed to do as well.
Jesse Mosley, I'm from New Orleans. Wouldn't quite call it off track, but I was on my way to boot camp. I had just graduated high school, so I was home a lot. And a brother asked me to do a favor for him, and he was he was being watched already by the FBI. So they had the recording of him asking me to give it to somebody who came to our house. And when I came back from boot camp, that's when the indictment happened. Not the indictment, the actual federal feds came and took everybody. So it was more of, I did this favor and okay, you did the favor, time to go type situation. So that's basically what happened.
So you said that you heard that utterance from the Vice President to me because we've heard that real story so often. So it's real.
My story's so boring, but that's what it was. Hey, can you do this for me? Yeah, sure, send it to the house. So it's not like I was out there actually on the corner selling drugs or anything like that. It was just more of I did a favor, and he was being watched at the time, and when it all blew up, that's what it was. Hey, you coming too. So that was the story.
Ms. Robinson?
Beverly Robinson, Palaca, Florida. Back then, even in the 90s, didn't realize that I was an individual that suffered from low self-esteem. Wanted to be like the girls with the it girls in town and everything, and allowed myself to be a follower opposed to being a leader. And decided to join their little club and stealing drugs, and I thought I just was doing what everybody else was doing because I wanted to be an it girl. Made the worst mistake. And that's what caused me to be in the situation I got in.
And now we're at a point where each and every one of you have either started businesses or a nonprofit in helping make significant change in your community. Do you mind telling me about what you're doing now? We'll start here and go back on.
Sure. I'm an owner and director of a child care facility in town. It is a facility that academically prepares children between 14 months old to 5.5 years old for kindergarten after they graduate from preschool. And we found it to be very effective, very rewarding, because when they graduate from my center, and I hear all the time from the teachers in the community, your center is just so awesome. Your kids come and I tell you, they seem like they're just bored. They already know what I'm going to ask them or what I'm trying to teach them. They're already so far advanced. And I'm like, hey, well, that means you got to step up. You got to do a little more, because we're not going to stop. We're going to keep, pushing forward. And we try to, instill in them to be leaders and not followers. Do the right thing, and the way to know you're doing the right thing is when you're doing the right thing, even though nobody is around to see or watch.
Currently, I'm a licensed realtor in Louisiana. My wife and I own a couple of craft stores, Express Vinyl, and we do like buying and flips with real estate investments, that kind of thing. I'm not currently with a nonprofit as far as giving back, but I do give back because I know a lot of people who have them. So it just makes it easier financially to be able to do some of the things that they do. So, you know, I just be inspired to give.
Fantastic.
I work at the best radio station in the world, 97.7 in Jackson, Mississippi, and it gives me a voice to my community and the young kids that look up to me, and to motivate them to know that they can and always will do better by just taking a second to think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm often always at the public schools in the poor communities. I give out gym shoes, I give out snacks, meals, and you know, just take the kids in, just encourage them that you can always do better.
Vice President, before you walked in, I was texting with the Mayor Jackson, Mayor Lumumba. He says, Jackson's worldwide. So give him your real name. What's your real name?
Bobby Lara.
I knew you. I meant your other name.
Oh, DJ Kool-Aid.
DJ Kool-Aid. All right. Jason?
I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called La Tiendita. It has two missions. One is to provide access to healthy and affordable food options, which is located in the food desert. We also provide internships to kids in the community, and we teach them social skills, etiquette, financial management, how to operate and manage a small business, and culinary skills, and anything that prevents that kid from graduating, even to the extent to where mom's car breaks down. Mom loses her job, we get mom's car fixed. We get mom a job to keep that kid in school so they don't drop out and have to get a job, and then they fall into the system, and then they have kids, and those kids fall into the system. And the other part of that story is that store was the store in 1992 when I was 15 years old, where I sold my first dime bag of marijuana. So I tell people we're not pushing dope, we're pushing hope.
We can go in any direction. Let's talk about Tuesday, when you found out you're getting pardoned. What was your reaction? Jesse,
Sure. I was in the process. I was in my office typing up a contract for an offer on the property, and when I got the phone call, it was like I forgot what I was doing. I ran downstairs and almost fell through the window trying to get to my wife and my kids just to let them know. You know, it was exciting, but man, I don't even know what to say about that. It's just that overwhelming gratitude for being one of the few that they did pardon in this is real important and happy and exciting and all those other great words that I can't think of right now. But and then I'm sitting at the table with the VP and Kim K. It's like, this will never happen again. So I'm ecstatic.
Did you go make that contract done?
Oh yeah, definitely, and it was accepted. So yeah.
But let me intervene for a moment, because it didn't just happen. You made it happen.
Yeah.
And perhaps you can talk a little bit about not only your journey that qualified you for the pardon, but what you did affirmatively, because we talk a lot about a lot of the spirit being behind your stories is about self-determination, which is an individual finding their own power to make choices and to chart a way, including what you did to apply for the pardon. Right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think there are plenty of people who don't really know that they might be eligible.
Yeah, I didn't know either. It was actually a friend of a friend that brought it to my attention. He brought the packet to me. He knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody in politics. And when he gave me the packet, I went through it. I'm like, damn, it's a lot. But when I took the time and went through it and gave it to him, I felt relieved that, okay, I finally got all of this out. Let's start the next process. And after hearing how long they waited, my 4 years seemed like 6 months. So I'm actually, glad that it happened so quickly. So I thought it would have been longer, but it's greatly appreciated. I love it, but I don't think it was a hard process. It's definitely worth it. Now I'm able to take this part and then apply for, I want to be a probation officer with the U.S. government, so I can assist other people who are in similar situations who need more access to different, I guess, networkings. I have a large network that I can introduce them to and to show them how to do other things, because just as a realtor, I do extremely well as a realtor with the conviction. So just to be able to pass it on to them, the knowledge, so they don't feel pressured to go back to where they come from and try these other things thinking they can beat the system. I'm giving them something tangible that they can do to go make more money and not ever have to look back to do that all over again. So I'm looking forward to it. So putting the word for me with that probation officer, so I can, make it happen.
I picked up what you were dropping right
Man, awesome.
Maybe the same question, was your reaction on Tuesday, and then maybe how you got to where you are.
Yes, I was actually in the 1 to 2 year old room with the 1 to 2 year old children. We were doing dramatic play at the time when I got the call. And I wanted to, as I told you earlier, I wanted to scream from the top of my lungs, but I didn't want to frighten the children. So I asked my director to come in, and as she came in, I told her, I said, I gotta go outside for just 1 minute. And I went out on the playground. I screamed from the top of my lungs. I was just so happy and elated, because it had been quite a while since I had applied for the actual pardon, which, like I said, was a hard process. Just fill out a packet, and pray to God and see what happened. And so I was just so elated. I'm still just as elated now, But I think that too, if more individuals know that all they have to do is fill out this packet, that they may even qualify for it. I think that's what it is. A lot of them are unaware that they possibly qualify to have a pardon, to be pardoned. But I tell you, it's just a beautiful thing. I'm just so happy and just so elated, and I'm just so thankful and grateful.
Buddy, how'd you feel?
I was actually in the mall buying this bow tie. My attorney called me, and I just dropped my phone. And I spoke with Erica and Gabriella a couple of days before, and I didn't believe it, because I applied in 2016. I had given up hope, but I just didn't give up. And I was getting several emails from Gabriella, and I was just spam. This is spam. So I decided to give her a call Saturday morning, and she was like, well, we're gonna set up a Zoom. And I was like, okay. So I called her back Monday. She was getting on the plane, so she had me to call Erica. So me and Erica talked, and I was like, man, there's some nice props in this, in this video. I'm like, but she started saying things that, I'm like, how did she know these things? And as we went on and started talking, my spirit just said, this is it. And I just cried. And I called my 15-year-old son, and I told him, Dad, Steve. I called my 93-year-old grandmother. Baby, we did it. And I'm grateful and thankful, because, like I said, I didn't believe it could happen. So it's gonna be a kid somewhere that gonna fill out and the application, and he's gonna feel like it's never gonna happen. But he can always look back, and if he knows my name, he say, Bobby waited 8, 9 years, and it happened.
Mr. Lowry, what did it mean to you and to your life to get the pardon? What changed?
There's so many other things that I can do now for my son. If you know my story, my son saw his mother murdered at 3 years old.
I do know. Yeah.
And when I got him, I still don't know. I don't think I know what I'm doing, but he has a 3.9 GPA at school. He's written a book, published. He's been all over the world touring with his book.
What's the title of the book?
My Dad and I.
Uh-huh.
And we are hope for somebody else. We can do this. And the pardon, what it means to me is, like, I couldn't get into Canada DJing. And now I can go into Canada and continue to provide for my family and my son, my mother. You know, my mother, I lost my sister 2 years ago. She had went to a football game to see my nephew play, and she had a head-on accident, and my sister and my niece were killed. So this is going to open up more opportunities to take care of my mother. You know, if I can work and go out and make money, I can provide for her, and I can go see her, and I can take her places and keep her happy, because I often say, you know, everybody in this room has more days behind than they got in front of them. So all those days she has left in front of her, I'm trying to make them the very best day. So it meant the world.
So it's your Tuesday.
Yeah, well, for me, I was at our nonprofit, La Tiendita, and I had got a phone call at 2:45, and it said U.S. government on it. And I thought maybe it was spam too, but I was like, hold on, I think this might be something, you know, might be legit. So I answered, and it was the apartment attorney's office, and they said, "This is Jason Hernandez." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "Well, I got some real good news for you." And when she said that, I knew it right there, and I was just like, "Oh my God, oh my God, I know what you're about to tell me." And she told me, she goes, "You got a full executive presidential pardon." And after that, I got on the phone and I called my older brother, and I had just thanked him because he had helped me receive my first clemency. And then I couldn't, after I got off the phone with him, I go inside the store, and our volunteer chef, I couldn't talk. I just started breaking down, and I was crying like a baby. And she thought something had happened. She was like, "Talk to me, Jason. Tell me what happened. What happened?" And I was like, I said, pardon. And she just broke down crying. She was crying with me. And the next thing I said, I gotta go to my brother's gravesite. My brother was murdered when I was incarcerated, and I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. And when I received my first clemency from President Barack Obama, the first place I went on my first day of release was my brother's gravesite. And just something came over me just to go back there and tell him that, you know, that we did it. That we did it, bro. That you didn't die for nothing. That through the loss of your life, I got my life back. And now I'm able to change better and save not one, not two, but thousands and thousands of lives.
That's right.
So it's a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank all of you for being so open and transparent. I mean, really, you're going to help change a lot of lives. What else would you want the Vice President, Ms. Kardashian, just to know about your experience, maybe with the criminal justice system, about clemency, and anything else that she and the President should be thinking of on a regular basis as she does this work every day? What else?
I mean, I'll answer. You know, I'll talk first. I'm happy for the right to bear arms again. I'm happy that I can apply for a government job again. And I feel like that weight been lifted. It always feels like that conviction is kind of like bricks on your back. And this pardon is kind of lifting it. So I feel lighter. I can talk more and walk with, I guess, a higher regard for myself, knowing that it's pardoned. So I really appreciate it. So I feel great about it. So just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully we could get more people to qualify for the pardons, because I know they have a lot more out there that's probably doing way more things than I'm doing to Jason and Bobby, you know, that's out there just making it happen. So it's a great thing. We just need more. That's all.
That's right. That's right.
Anything else you want?
I concur. I just said that I'm so grateful and so thankful, and you know, there are people a lot more out there that, you know, if we could just somehow get the message that they may qualify for pardons, you know, what the process is and everything, that would also be beneficial. It's my main thing.
In 2014, President Barack Obama, he was the first president to ever go to a prison. And he actually went to the federal prison that I was in El Reno, Oklahoma. I was gone already, right? And it's so weird. I said, I never want to go back to prison, but that day, I was like, oh my God.
Don't say it.
I never in my life want to go back to prison, but if I could, I would love to be back in prison that day just to thank him and shake his hand. But I mean, I say all that to say this. When he was there, he had said that just through circumstances, different environments, that he could easily be one of those individuals that was behind that wall. And I would like for you to know that there's some amazing individuals behind that wall. They're here at this table right now, some of them. People who could have been doctors, attorneys, mentors, people who could even been vice president or president. And some of those people are still behind the wall. And when a commutation or pardon is granted or not granted, you not only deny that person, you deny their family. Receiving my commutation and my pardon, it breathed life not only into me, but into my mother, to my father, and also into my community. And when I think about where all the mentors are at, they're incarcerated. And we just need our people to come back home. Our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers. But there's some amazing people that are in there, and hopefully they don't get left behind.
Thank you.
Well, I just second what he said. This is a great group of, as Jesse would say, the class of 2024. Just the process, understanding the process and just trying to make the process, like I waited 8-9 years, and every day or every other month I would go on the website and it says pending. Okay, pending. And for all those years, I still didn't give up, but somebody may give up. So just making the process shorter or communicating with them, because I could have easily just gave up, but giving up is too easy.
That's right.
So, but I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and everybody in this room, I appreciate you guys. And this is my brothers and sisters now, because we all have a similar story. We all walk a path that we're not proud of, but today we walk out with new light and giving somebody else hope. So thank you, Jesse, Beverly, Jason, Madam President, Vice President, thank you, Ms. Kim, thank you, and you're gonna hear our names again in positive light. All of us. Thank you.
Mr. Kardashian, you want to give some closing thoughts, observations?
Sure. Every time I've gone and visited a prison, I've met some of the smartest individuals with the brightest ideas, and to see the changes that are happening to make their re-entry easier, I think is going to be life-changing and give so many people hope, especially with the small business loans, and having the opportunity for this to make those ideas that they have inside come out and realize those dreams. I used to think, well, the goal is just to get out, right? And then everything's all good, and then everything is just perfect. In my head, I was so naive to think that that's all that was needed. And then as you get out and you realize, there's hurdle and obstacle and hurdle and obstacle every step of the way, and to just know that there are people that are dedicated and committed to changing that and to helping people really start their businesses, create a real life for themselves, is just inspiring, and what pushes me to want to continue to do the work that I do. So I'm learning every step of the way of what needs to be done, and I think a super important part of it is just telling your stories so that people that are in the position to help can open up their hearts and learn along the way with us of what needs to be done. Because if you haven't been in the system and you aren't really aware of those challenges, you can still do your part on amplifying those ideas. So together with your stories is just what's necessary to really help. And obviously with all the change that is going on and all of the attention to the second chances is just so beautiful to see. So thank you, and thank everyone here for just being so open and vulnerable.
Thank you. And I'd say this, I'm a public finance attorney. I'm an infrastructure lawyer by training. So I love data and I love numbers. But when you take opportunities to humanize data and actually tell real stories, connecting the head and the heart, and I just want to thank you, Madam Vice President. I mean, every opportunity you have to use your platform to show real letters of opportunity to really illuminate human dignity through second chance work and everything else you do. We didn't have to do this. We could have mailed or emailed people or wait for people to check the website again, check the website again. But you use your platform in ways that make us all better. So thank you for convening us. And some final words to these heroes.
Again, thank you, Kim. You brought up some really important points that I'd like to emphasize, with the forefront and backdrop being these 4 extraordinary leaders. In our country, we don't lack for people who want to do good, who care about their families, who want to help and support their community, who want to help those in need. But sadly, especially when we're talking about people who have been in the criminal justice system, we still have so many aspects of the system that create obstacles and barriers to people being able to fulfill that dream, that desire, that will. And so part of the work that we are doing in our administration is to identify what are the specific things in the way the system is currently designed that just put in place obstacles that needn't be there if we want to invest in the people of our country. And we're doing it both in terms of people who've been in the system and people who haven't been in the system. It's about access to opportunity as much as anything. And the 4 of you have demonstrated what happens when, through sheer will and then with support, you have that ability. Each of you has given so much to your families, to your community, and by your stories, and today in particular, what you are doing to inspire people to understand what's possible, but also to understand that they have a right to demand that we create and reinforce a system that actually works for people and not against them. And so that's part of why we have done what we have done, for example, with the small business loans, what we are doing in terms of increasing Pell Grant opportunities. Again, understanding when people they've been held accountable, and they have been accountable, we have to help people earn their way back and invest in their capacity. And so again, I thank the 4 of you for showing what's possible and being an example of what we know is possible all over our country every day. But when we hold it up and recognize what we each can do to support that, I think we're going to be a better society, and many, many people will benefit. So again, thank you to the 4 leaders in particular.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for being a part of this conversation.